While I was at the Cardano Summit, I had a chance to meet people from all over the entire ecosystem, from people that were leading projects to people working on the low-level protocols and everything in between. One of my favorite conversations was when I finally had a chance to sit down and chat with Paul from Cardano with Paul. His channel was one of the inspirations for me when I started Woodland Pools, and it was just so cool to sit down with him in person and talk about his perspective about where Cardano has been and where we're going moving forward. He's a really nice guy. It was a really great conversation, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Hey, what's going on, guys? We have Paul here, and welcome back to Woodland Pools. Sorry to steal your intro. I just heard it so many times. I wanted to try it out for size. So anyways, so Paul, thanks so much for sitting down with me. We're here at the Cardano Summit 2022. So it's great finally meeting you in person. As I told you before, your channel was one of the ones that I watched that kind of, before I started mine, that kind of inspired me to start a Cardano channel.
Nice.
So I think it's really great to meet you in person. I thought it'd be nice to just sort of sit down and talk a little bit about Cardano and the ecosystem and sort of your channel. And so I guess with that, I guess before we get to Cardano, what brought you to blockchain and then Cardano?
I suppose I came from a trading side. I was involved in trading online back 2014, 2015, and then 2016 started looking into crypto when there was more about it, and then started doing a bit there. I didn't really start accumulating then until kind of bought some Bitcoin then, but sold it off or used it for different things, unfortunately. But it was around for the bull run 2017, and then when we hit the bear market, kind of into 2018, I had some ADA at that point, and when I started to reevaluate my portfolio and look at what I thought would be good long term, started looking into the different projects that I had, because at the early stages I was just buying roundabout me, this one's the hype coin or this one. So I got into ADA then, and as the bear market kept getting deeper, I kept putting more of my assets and other cryptos, selling them off into ADA and Bitcoin, and that's where I was accumulating a lot of my own. Mm-hmm. So that's where I fell into the Cardano side then.
And so I think you started your channel about like 2 years ago, right? Well, a little more than 2 years ago.
Over 2 years.
Well, the Cardano with Paul channel.
Yeah, I had another one before that I talked about crypto in general, and that channel started out for exposing online trading scams.
Oh, really?
So I said, because I was doing trading and stuff myself, and I seen so many of these scams, I set up the channel and started exposing all these auto traders and different things like that. And then that kind of led into crypto, because crypto came into it, and I started to get into crypto then. I knew what they were talking about was BS, like a lot of these sales pitches they were nothing to do with crypto, but the sales pitch was all about crypto. So when I set up my stake pool, that's when I decided to do the dedicated Cardano channel, and I initially was going to do it to do tutorials, just on how to stake and talk about a few things in Cardano, and it kind of snowballed from there, and it got decent size fairly quick. And because I came from the trading side, I put out one video talking about price, and ADA at the time was 9-10 cent, and a lot of people liked that, so I started putting out a bit of that kind of stuff as well, and I think that's the mix brought in a lot of people to watch the channel then. So.
Yeah, and then it's interesting too, because like when I think about sort of because now, and I'll be honest, when I first came across your channel, because similarly for myself, like when I first started out, it was just kind of like looking at, I think we all kind of just once we got past the investment in Bitcoin, then we were all like, oh, there's so many coins out there, and they can all moon or whatever, and so you kind of waste time with all these like little garbage coins that end up being nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was still sort of in that phase and still kind of like looking around, I remember I came across, I was starting to look into Cardano a little bit more, and I came across your channel, and I remember when I first saw it, I was like, man, this guy's got an entire channel dedicated to Cardano. I'm like, that's like really specific, A
lot of people thought that and was like, what are you doing? Like, going, and it's like, I figure, I focus, I'm not a Cardano maximalist. I wouldn't like to be known as a maximalist for any chain. Like, I hold Cardano and Bitcoin, and I hold different projects on Cardano, and I hold some other tokens as well. But obviously I have a very big interest in Cardano, and that holds a nice size of my portfolio at this stage. But I figured if I can start showcasing some of the ecosystem and show what's going on, because like that, people don't have time to dive into individual ecosystems. And there's a lot more, as you know, there's a lot more to Cardano than just ADA. So kind of the channel changed a bit over time. I focus a lot more on the ecosystem and the projects in it now, more so than looking at the charts and stuff.
Right.
There's other people focus solely on that, so I still do it a bit because I trade myself. I just don't put it out as public as I would have in the beginning, because I found there's more people are interested in knowing what's going on in the ecosystem than looking at the charts and stuff, so I throw in a bit of both.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny, and that's why I say I think it's funny, because when I first came across it, and I was like, "Oh, this guy making a channel just about Cardano." That's like really, and then fast forward like 6 months, and I'm like, I started my own Cardano channel as well. We're like really the only thing, and it's funny because similarly, like how you were saying, I noticed how when you first started the channel, like yourself and some of the others that I followed had these like sort of tutorials and getting started stuff or whatever else.
Yeah.
But then by the time that like I was getting started, it was about maybe like 6 months later. And then by then, a lot of things had changed, and then I was kind of like, well, what's the latest today kind of thing, and so that's why. So then now, the Woodland Pools channel is very focused on like, getting beginners up and running, and like some of the stuff that you've done early on, like now that's sort of kind of our bread and butter is a lot of tutorials on like different wallets and how they work and this and that. And I noticed that, but lately though, you've been doing a lot of like interviews with different like teams that are launching new projects and stuff like that. Like, so I guess, so talk about that a little bit. Like how has that been for you? Like we just sat down with Charlie 3 here, but we do interviews every now and then. How's that been for you, being able to like talk to all of these leaders of these, especially the new projects that are coming out?
Yeah, I think it's good. Like the tutorials and stuff is really important, and what you do on your channel, it's so important for new people coming in that they get the right advice, because like that as well, when I was looking in the beginning, there was all these different types of ones, and they weren't explained simply, and I think coming out of some of them, people ended up more confused than when they went into them. So it's good to have that type of stuff for people out there. And the projects was kind of an evolution. When my channel got bigger and I was getting more attention, I had a lot of projects reaching out to see could they come on and talk about what they're doing. But I'm very conscious of projects I bring on as well, because I don't want it to be seen when I'm bringing them on that it's an endorsement of that project. I want, if the community is really interested in certain projects, then I'm happy to bring them on and let them have the discussion, and I'll ask the questions that the community have wanted to know and stuff like that. Because lots of times when projects do their own AMAs, they can script the questions that come out and stuff, where when I do them, I can ask what I've seen in the community or what people have told me they'd like to know. I can ask them ones direct. So I like that angle of it, getting to know what's going on in the community and getting the reality of where we are, because Cardano is not an easy chain to develop on right now.
Right.
It is getting easier, but what I found even a year ago, projects that they thought they would have projects launched long ago, and like they were giving me what their realistic launch dates were. Some of them were over a year ago and they still haven't launched, but it's a mix of underestimating the work and actually the infrastructure not being fully there for Cardano. The last hard fork has given us a lot more, that now I think a lot of the tool sets are there for projects. So I really like the insights of getting to know really what's going on, because sometimes the press releases and everything like that don't give you the full, not sometimes, all the time, they don't give you the full picture of the reality. Yeah.
And so given that, right, and the exposure that you've had to so many of these different projects and speaking with all these different folks, what are some of the things you're most excited about in Cardano moving forward? And that could either be like maybe at the protocol level, or specific projects that that sort of that you're interested in.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of the ones in Cardano that I look at, it isn't for the token price or stuff like that. It's what they're actually doing. I'm looking at, when I'm picking projects for me to get involved in or to talk about, it's not ones that I think are going to shoot up through the charts in the next few days. There's lots of ones will do the top 5 tokens to have gains in X month, but for me, I look at the real world, like World Mobile. I'm involved there. I'm going to run an Earth node in World Mobile because I like the real world use cases that we're starting to see, and the DeFi projects that are building on Cardano. So coming from the trading experience and stuff, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. In terms of, we do have DEXs right now, but I want to see more complex stuff. We started to see a bit of it with what, like lending and borrowing and stuff that can be built on top of that with stablecoins. They're the type of things I'm really looking forward to. There's different stablecoin options coming to Cardano. We don't have a stablecoin yet, and we really need it. Like every DeFi ecosystem, if you look at any other chain, the most traded pairs are always going to be stablecoin pair, because it's needed. You need to be able to swap out into a stablecoin if you think the markets are going to be risky, or to just in general, it's really needed.
And they, with that too, like it's funny, we go from having no stablecoins at Cardano, and now in the next 6 months we might have two, right? Between USDA with the Mergo announcement, and then with JED.
And actually, JED, I don't think we're going to get till early next year. At best, I know they're expecting the audit report back by the end of November, was the last I heard. Now, it might have changed, I don't know. But we'll wait and see when that actually launches.
Well, sure, and also the Emergent one, which is a press release that just came out. But that's why I'm being gracious, and I'm saying the next 6 months.
We are getting one tomorrow, though, and probably by the time this comes out, we're going to have Indigo will have IUSD.
Oh, okay, that comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, the Indigo protocol is launching tomorrow, which is a synthetics platform.
Okay.
So on that, you will have IUSD for. I think that's the first one they're launching. The first synthetic that they're launching is tomorrow.
Oh, cool! I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was talking to James there from Indigo Protocol, and he's talking tomorrow as well about it.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I'll have to definitely look into that more. I thought in my mind it was like, okay, which one's it going to be? Is it going to be, is it going to be USDA or is it going to be JED, or which one's comes out first? But if Indigo beats them to it,
there is the difference in that, like synthetics and JED, they're both over collateralized, where. What I really want to see is the fiat backed as well, to have different options. Like it'd be great to have the over collateralized ones, but I think the easy on ramp for people as well, that people who are coming in new into crypto, that they know when they put their funds in that it is actually backed somewhere else. They don't understand the over collateralization and how the algorithmic stable coins work, and they don't always work. We see UST with Luna. What happened there, but I think it's good to have the different aspects, and people can choose which one they trust more for themselves, and as they get deeper into DeFi and the ecosystem, they'll venture out then as well.
And so where do you see, so I guess maybe to start kind of wrapping up, we'll keep it short because I know you've got some things you got to get to as well, so two things. First, like for yourself, where do you see like yourself and the channel, and Cardano with Paul? Where would you like to see that going moving forward? And then, sorry, this stuff's kind of weird here. We got our camera here. If you want to look right at the people there. But like, if so for yourself and Cardano with Paul, which again, if you're not subscribed to Cardano with Paul, you definitely should. It's a fantastic channel. I watch it regularly. Like I said, that's what I watched before I started Woodland Pools. And so, where do you see the channel and yourself moving forward, and where would you like to kind of grow into from here?
I see the channel continuing in much the same as it is right now, in giving exposure to different projects and creating tutorials, especially around the DeFi sector, where I am really interested in that. So as new protocols come out there, I think it's important people do their research on them first and understand how they work, because sometimes you mightn't realize you're risking so much of your funds when you get involved. So creating a lot of educational content around that and tutorials in around that sector as well is what I want to do, and talking to different projects too. Personally, I'd like to maybe get involved with some projects at some point, or I'm not sure exactly where the fit will be, but I'd like something in that line too. And obviously I have Stake Pool, and I will have the World Mobile Earth node as soon as that launches, so a few different things. A lot in around Cardano, but all to keep me busy. We also have a reservation for an Earth node as well, and now we're all just kind of waiting to see. They have the updated roadmap now. Did you see that they just announced? So let's see. Technically, we're supposed to be rolling out maybe. Testnet should be any day. I met Mickey on the escalator earlier, and it was like crossing paths. So we'll sit down later and talk. So why hopefully try and squeeze something out of him for.
Exactly. Because and we shared that on the live stream that we did the other day. That like testnet should technically be right now. Mainnet and the EarthNode NFT should be coming out around the end of this year, going into the beginning of next year. But that's cool that you say that too, because what I found is that like it's interesting where we have, even though I can think off the top of my head, like 4 different like educational Cardano channels, right? Like yourself and Kaizen and Pay, and then like ours and Woodland Pools. And it's interesting how like it seems like people have settled into different sort of like niches, and so yourself coming from the trading background, I think that's great that like now you're looking at, okay, what are all these different DeFi projects, and how can we sort of sort through them? I know like Kaizen, Pritesh with Kaizen's been looking a lot more into like the CNFT space, and he's been really getting into all of that, and then Pay's got like his like long form podcasts that he does with people, and so with us we kind of do a lot of just like I'm just personally, I think everybody's kind of drawn to like also what they prefer, and that's how you kind of carve it. So for me, like my background in like industrial engineering and product management, like I like projects that it's like, okay, can you explain what you do in one sentence? You know what I mean? So that's why I love like, you know, like A to Handle, you know, book.io, you know, World Mobile. And so I try and like focus specifically on those and the tutorials to get people up and running. But I think it's really cool how there's like, it's one of those things where rising tide like lifts all ships, you know what I mean?
That's it, yeah.
Where if people want to learn about specific things, there's so much like great content out there for them to be able to find it.
We're lucky in Cardano that there are so many people putting out content, like Army of Spies.
Oh yeah, of course, yep.
One of the most consistent people I've seen out there for every single day. I don't know how.
I don't know how
he does it with all the stuff he puts out, and it's great. Like I get to start most days with a coffee and watching it to see what's going on in the ecosystem, and even not just Cardano, he includes some of the more other things that are going on in crypto as well. And you have Pete from Learn Cardano.
Yeah,
that's another guy that I don't know how he puts in so much work. The amount of content he puts out it's great to have all these options. So.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, and I can't believe, no offense to Peter Army of Spies either, like, because Pete's a great guy. That's a great point. I was talking to him at Rare Bloom, and I remember how he was like posting about stuff about how he just felt like really drained because he was like posting videos all the time. He tweeted about that after a while, you know, saying like that. You know, he's like, "How do you guys do it?" And I was like, "Make less videos, man." I don't know.
He's
like, because
no one does it like he does.
Like man, because Army of Spies too, like he you know puts together every day, but it's more of just like a voiceover of like, you know, whatever. But Pete does like full like edited like him like doing whatever videos. So he's really grinding at it too. So
it is great to have people like that, and they're what really help grow the community as well, because people can come in and start to trust people like that. They see turning up all the time and given not hyped information either, which if you look across the crypto space, a lot of YouTube that you watch is very hyped, and it's very different when you look at Cardano. And I think some people don't look at Cardano then because they're used to all the hype, and then when they come into Cardano, we're a bit more subdued about talking about projects, and it's not all moons and everything. So it's, to me, long term, it's good.
And I think that's fantastic too, because the other thing, it's so funny you say that. That was the other thing. If you think about, so then we mentioned just now like 6 different channels, right? And of all of them, they're all just like covering just what's going on and don't feel any need to like make everything like spectacular and like over the top. Because the thing is that unfortunately you see with a lot of other channels on YouTube, they serve up what I refer to, I call it like junk food, right? Where it's like they're serving up this junk food, and like, I mean, people like eating junk food, you know, it tastes good when you're eating it, right? But then what happens, and you end up having like health problems and you're overweight and whatever else, and it's not dissimilar to what happens with information, right? When you're just consuming this like junk food information of like, this is gonna explode and get in this now and stuff like that, then you hear about all these pumps and dumps that some of these creators may or may not actually be a part of and stuff like that. And so to your point, I think that's great, where like you think we have so many good resources that depending on your interest, you can get level-headed, just straight to the point information. And I think our ecosystem is kind of unique in that way.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I don't blame different YouTubers for doing different things. A lot of them play to the clickbait taglines. If you actually watch the videos, a lot of them are different. But Dan from Digital Asset News talks about it, the thumbnail investors, where people just read the thumbnail and the title and they take that as what the video is about. But unfortunately with YouTube, it's all about clickbait, and if you don't get the clicks, then they stop showing your videos to less people. And I haven't gone down the clickbait route, but I also see that in my analytics, that because I don't do that to just pull people in all the time, you don't get as much, call it enough love from YouTube then. So I see why people do it, and if you actually watch the content, it's very different to what the title people put on it, which unfortunately there's lots of people who will just invest, or they will, and none of us are financial advisors, but they will get involved in things based on the thumbnail or the title rather than actually looking what's underneath it.
And I think to your point though, like even though, you know, that is the way to sort of like grow faster, do whatever else, I think that it does build like a credibility and trust with like the whole community as a whole, that we try and focus on like, okay, let's go like slow and steady and just learn about the things as we're going and stuff like that. And I think on the other side too is that then, you know, on the flip side, the times where I feel like, you know, I see like one of your videos or like when I'm like putting one together and you actually say like, oh, hey, this is an emergency, you know, then it actually means something. Instead of it actually being that every video is explosive news or whatever else, you know what I mean? Like the times where it's like, no, hey guys, you need to know about this right now because this thing is going down. Then there's actually, it just sounds different. It resonates differently because it's actually a contrast versus that being every video you make.
Just trying to pull you in just to watch it for the click. It's actually, you do need to see this if there's a hack or if there's, I don't know, vulnerabilities or something like that people can act quickly on it then. So
Well, so to close out, you've been following Cardano for a while now. You've been following it very closely for more than 2 years and putting together all this great content. What are you most excited about? We're here at the Cardano Summit. There's been some great announcements at Scott Fest that just came out, right? With Midnight and all of that. Moving forward to the next sort of like, let's say from here to next summit, what are you most excited about for Cardano as an ecosystem?
I suppose I mentioned a few times the DeFi side.
Yep.
I'm personally really excited about that. I know different people are interested in different things, but I think it brings, when you start to look at other chains and some of the things they're able to do and will be able to do it and a lot more due to the UTXO model, I think that's a sector I think will be really big. And the real world use cases are hopefully at the next summit, the World Mobile Network will be live and we'll be able to see how many areas they're actually providing broadband and connections to. Things like that will be really exciting. And obviously side chains, I think by this time next year side chains will be very big. So Midnight being the privacy one that was just announced. But I think there'll be lots of different side chains on Cardano. And the way they're talking about it is that us as stake pool operators, that we will be able to run the stake pools for Cardano, but also other networks or other side chains as well. And that when people delegate to your pool, that they don't just earn ADA, they earn tokens from the different side chains as well, because you're supporting the different side chains that are out there. So that's the type of thing that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I think we should see a lot of changes in the next year, and hopefully most of them in good light.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, because utilizing the infrastructure and the network that's already there has the ability not just for like side chains, but then also even just for like Mithril and having the ability of like being able to do like signers and aggregators and stuff like that with the pools that are already existing. So that's a really great point. And being able to like grow, on top of this like large distributed horizontal network that we already have. Yeah. But anyway, Paul, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
It's been great.
I really appreciate it. Like I said, huge fan of the channel. Please keep up the good work. Keep helping
Don't forget
us.
to subscribe down below here as well and click that like button for.
There we go. Exactly. So
gotta get it in for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So check out Paul's channel. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Let us know down below if you have any questions for Paul. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. And if nothing else, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.